Hello everyone, welcome to Assessment 4. This is a guide to help you through the final stages of the IMC program. So let's think about the overall task of MKT570, Integrated Marketing Communications. So the two major ideas behind this are for all of you to get a theoretical understanding of the underlying principles of IMC. So essentially what this means is for all of you to read as much of the literature as possible. So this means reading the textbook as well as many online journal articles and relevant other resources that you can find during the course of the semester. So once you've mastered the theoretical aspects, then it's time to be able to apply the principles developed and apply those to the case study to which you've agreed to undertake. So remember that this assessment 4, it covers two components, the IMC plan and also the video presentation. It's worth 40%. You know it's due on the 12th of October. So over the course, we're getting very close to the end now. So we've covered the situation analysis, the communication process, budgeting, the different kinds of media, public relations, personal selling, etc., and looking at the evaluation and measurement process. So putting all this together is the focus of assessment 4. So it's taking assessments 1, 2, and 3 and putting those together into an overall document and then producing a video presentation. What I wanted to do before I start looking at assessment 4 is just think about some of the lessons which I've gleaned from reading your assessments through 1 to 3. So first thing is to say, look, this is essentially a business presentation, but it has a strong academic underpinning. Some of you wrote in the third person as if it was only an academic exercise. It's not. The critical thing is that you're writing as a representative of Saatchi. You're trying to persuade your potential client to take you on to develop and implement your IMC, the company's IMC program. So in developing this report of yours, you need to be able to show that you've read widely. You need to be able to show the link between the literature and your IMC application. So it's not just the fact that you understand what direct marketing is. What you need to be able to show is from your reading, what are the takeouts from what you've read? In other words, in what ways can direct marketing positively impact your IMC program? And that may be referring to specific articles or journal articles or the textbook that you've read. Please do not have an over-reliance on the textbook. I mean, if all I see are references from the textbook, this is going to hurt your case. The third point is that many of you expressed your objectives not using the SMART criteria or only some of the SMART criteria. In order to be able to measure the outcome of your IMC program, if you don't have objectives which are specific, measurable, attainable, reliable, and time-based, then it's going to be quite difficult for you to measure what the outcome is. Fourth point is, again I say, use a professional presentation format such as one of the business word templates or any other major piece of software that offers a template. And this is in order to help you with the layout and the formatting. And also, I don't want to see any spelling or grammatical errors in your presentation. Can you imagine that if a chief marketing officer or the CEO find spelling errors or grammatical errors throughout your report, or even in the first sentence, this is going to diminish the professional look of the presentation. So you need to think about who the reader of the report is. So in point number 5, be careful with generalizations. I mean, you're talking to people who are very smart, sophisticated, probably have, and I'm sure the Chief Marketing Officer obviously has an in-depth understanding of marketing. So if you get caught up in simple generalizations, this is going to diminish the professionalism in the eyes of the reader. So the 6th point is, please don't use general reference sites, whether it's Wikipedia or any of these others. I mean, you can use industry studies, you can use news articles which are directly related to your case or which illustrate your case. All of your sources must be credible. Point number 7. You need to be able to articulate what the rational and or emotional needs of the target audiences are, and also the underlying issues, so that you're able to develop the specific messages to help, and the positioning strategy to help you develop your program. Point number 8, your creative approaches. Following on from point number 7, your creative approaches have to be clearly articulated. You need to provide specific examples of your creative approaches. So, for example, sample social media ads, specific advertisements, whether it's radio ads, public relations statements, etc. Point number 9. Your opinions have to be based on either logic and or industry studies or academic journal articles. So opinions by themselves don't matter much unless they're supported. And this means that you need to be able to integrate the theoretical aspects identified in the literature with your practical application. Point number 10. Please don't give me spacing at 1.5 or 2. The unit guidelines say only single line spacing throughout the document. Also, please stick to the word limit, as I'm only going to mark up until the word limit. If you want to put anything else in, put them in the appendices. So let's have a look at assessment task 4. We know it's worth 40%. It's due on the 12th of October. It's 3,500 words. It might sound a lot, but remember you have assessments 1 to 3 already completed. So the first task is to integrate your first 3 assessments. Write a full and complete IMC plan. This is worth 50% of the total value of assessment 4. So remember, you're a senior executive with Saatchi & Saatchi. Your objective is to pitch your IMC project to the Chief Marketing Officer and or CEO of the potential organisation. It's not a simple cut and paste. Based on the feedback that you've received from me during the assessments 1 to 3. So it needs to be a good theoretical story and practical application. And your aim is to persuade your audience to the strength of your IMC program. So you need to make sure the plan is well structured, the usual kind of thing that you had in assessments 1 to 3. Now just remember, whilst there's no budget restriction, you need to propose some kind of budget detailing the spend for each channel. So you can use a simple table format, but remember the budget should only relate to the amount of money you need to address the specific issues. So if it's the Commonwealth Bank, you're not looking at an IMC plan for the whole of the Commonwealth Bank. You're looking at a budget to cover your communications plan designed to deal with a specific issue. The format is fairly straightforward. You've seen it in the unit outline, the title page, the executive summary. Now, remember that an executive summary is not just an introduction. it should tantalize it should encourage the reader to read on. So it should tell you, it should tell the reader what you're going to do, and just provide an idea of your basic pitch. In other words, what's the basic theme which you're going to focus on during the IMC program? What's your unique selling proposition to convince your target audiences to be successful in undertaking this IMC program? The table of contents. Now, with the table of contents, just please use the Microsoft Word automatic table provider. Learn how to use this. Then, of course, you'll have your situation analysis, the description of your target audiences, your IMC objectives. Remember to make sure that the objectives are fit the SMART criteria. Your creative strategy, then your communications mix. Now, remember, the creative strategy identifies what kind of messages, what's going to be the theme, etc., and also which aspects of IMC you're going to focus on. Is it going to be essentially radio or television or public relations or direct marketing, etc.? Then in your communication strategy, you need to follow that up in more detail with your media strategy. You're providing samples of the various media. And number 10, basic budget, evaluation metrics, conclusion, and references. So remember, the word limit doesn't include the executive summary, the tables, the figures, the appendices, or the reference list. So you've got to, you've got quite a bit of flexibility in terms of word limit to present the whole campaign successfully. So the assessment criteria, I know this looks a bit small, but you can read the unit outline to get a more detailed view. So if you look at these criteria for assessment 4A, it's your communications skills. So how good is your presentation of the materials, the grammar, the formatting, the structure, etc. The second assessment item relates to the theoretical analysis. So how good are you at identifying the theoretical underlying principles? The third aspect relates to your application skills. So how good are you at connecting the theory with your application? Point number 4, your creative skills. How good have you developed, to what extent have you developed the messaging strategy? This is a fairly important element overall. And then finally, your referencing skills. Make sure that you've referenced all of the materials, both in text and at the end of the process. Task 4B, the video presentation. So all I'm looking for is a short video presentation, somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes, probably closer to 10 minutes to get all of the aspects covered. So this is designed to cover the basis of your case, and this is something that the Chief Marketing Officer and or the Chief Executive might get in order for them to have a quick overview of the case that you're presenting. So the easiest way, I think in these circumstances, is just to create a PowerPoint presentation and then record through programs such as Screencast-O-Matic or similar kinds of software your analysis and recommendations for the case. You can use tables, graphs, flowcharts, really anything which will improve the presentation format. You can have video links and other tools to make it interesting, concise, and you'll score more points for creativity. Overall, it has to be a good story. You're selling a narrative to the Chief Marketing Officer or the Chief Executive of the organization. So it's about convincing them. Remember, if you can't convince them, it's going to be pretty hard to convince your target audience. So it's about presenting a persuasive argument that will convince your client to select your organisation to develop and manage the IMC project. The video presentation, as I said, 5 to 10 minutes. It's worth 50% of the assessment. The format, PowerPoint slides. It's the content. It can be the same structure as for the written plan. So remember, it's a selling tool. It also allows you to show your presentation skills. So in terms of submission, on or by the due date, what I'd like you to do is to submit your video presentation via email to me through dagray@csu.edu.au. Video recording. As I've said, I suggest that you use Screencast-O-Matic, but you don't have to. There are lots of recording software programs available. And I've referenced an introductory YouTube video for Screencast-O-Matic and the website. But at the bottom, you'll see there's the website techradar.com, which tells you about a bunch of other screen recording software that I think are pretty good as well. Assessment 4. So here's what I'm looking for. The presentation style. If you're enthusiastic, confident, and professional, then you'll score high. If you're using visual aids, if your analysis and content is thorough, clear, and concise, then you'll do well in this particular assessment. So good luck, everyone. I'm looking forward to reading and watching your final presentations, and I'll talk to you soon again. Thanks a lot.